strong Arctic cold front is on its way this weekend, and from Saturday night through at least Monday, we could see stretches of below freezing temperatures and the possibility of some frozen precipitation. But what, when, and how much is not entirely clear. Let's get the latest info now from Houston Chronicle meteorologist Justin Ballard. Justin, good morning.
Good morning. It's cold here in North Carolina where I am. I'm visiting family for a bit of an emergency, but it's going to be even colder here by the time I get to Texas in a couple of days.
Yeah, I imagine so. Can you offer any clarity, at least, on when this winter system is expected to arrive in southeast Houston?
I mean, really, the effects of it will start to arrive Friday night into Saturday as a very cold, sort of miserable rain. I'm just going to be very honest about it. No way of sugarcoating it. And then as we get into Saturday night into Sunday, that's when we're looking at that potential for a changeover from, that cold rain to a freezing rain sort of winter weather event. This is certainly not going to be a snowstorm, not like what we had last January. This is going to be a freezing rain, maybe a flake or two of snow on the very tail end of this. But the really big concern at this point is the freezing rain aspect of it.
When do you expect temperatures to drop below freezing, and how long will they stay there?
Right now, it looks like Saturday night, and then most of Sunday will really be below freezing. But I will say, even Saturday afternoon may only be, 35, 36 degrees. And keep in mind, temperatures are measured about 10 feet above the surface. So if that 35 degrees is, 10 feet, above the ground, it may actually be closer to 32 degrees, even Saturday afternoon, with even forecast highs in the mid 30s. But then we'll stay below freezing likely until Monday morning before finally we'll start to warm things on up and thaw out that frozen, whatever frozen stuff does fall. And right now, like I said, it does look like a freezing rain sort of event more so than anything.
If it does become that, how long does that sort of thing take to melt away, once we do see temperatures rise above freezing again?
Quick to melt freezing rain away or ice once you get those temperatures above freezing. Sleet takes perhaps the longest to melt away because it's all water, right? Or ice in this instance. Snow also takes quite a while to melt away if temperatures are cold enough. But again, into next week, we do start to warm things up, but it's that period of, I would say, 12 to maybe even 18 hours where we have that potential for some frozen precip or in the form of freezing rain. Saturday night rather into Sunday morning before that precip finally moves out of our area. We're left behind with, the coldest weather of all before finally warming up next week.
Okay, so if I'm understanding the timeline correctly, the freezing rain in whatever form it is, however much it is going to happen Saturday night through Sunday morning, and then
Yes.
we'll just remain below freezing all day Sunday, so the roads will just potentially be icy all day into the evening, and then sometime Monday morning, afternoon, something like that, is when we expect, at least at the moment, to see temperatures rise above freezing, and then I take it won't take very long for everything to melt away from there.
You've got it. I wouldn't be surprised at all if there were some school delays or something like that come Monday morning. But work if you've got the flexibility to work from home on a Monday, maybe a good time to kind of look into that option here with the potential for some frozen precip, especially north and west of Greater Houston. I think that's where we'll really see the biggest problems in terms of freezing rain accumulations and maybe even a few sleet pellets mixed in as well.
When should we make a point to be off of Houston roads exactly?
I would say by Saturday evening, you should really be hunkered in to wherever you're going to be on Sunday. Saturday night is where you should be kind of in that spot. So if you've got some plans Saturday evening, you should be okay. Just kind of keep an eye on that forecast. Really, what matters here is the temperature. If it's 32 degrees Saturday evening, it's going to be freezing on the surface, right? So that's going to be something that we really have to watch over the next 24 to 48 hours, because that is something that we really can't say for certain how close to freezing will be, 2 days out. We'll be just having to keep a very close eye on those temperatures. But by Saturday evening, you should be where you're going to be for the rest of the weekend.
Back in 2021, the grid was not ready to handle what were several days of far below freezing conditions. This, though, is not quite that, right?
Exactly. And that I understand why people are making those comparisons. It's very easy to make those comparisons, but this storm is very different than the multiple days of precipitation that we got during the February 2021 deep freeze. We saw winter storm warnings go into effect, I believe, on the 11th of February in the Panhandle, and then 2 or 3 days later, Houston was under a winter storm warning that would last for 3 days. This is not that. This is going to be a kind of one and done sort of situation. It's really a 12 to 18-hour window where temperatures and falling precip are going to be kind of close enough in coordination to where we do see some freezing rain or even some sleet. Again, maybe a snowflake or two, but I'm really not holding my breath too much for any snow to be seen. I think it's going to be a freezing rain event, and then it ends pretty quickly by Sunday afternoon. And then, of course, the temperatures. Temperatures are not going to be quite as cold. Now, granted, they will be plenty cold, but they will not be quite as cold as what we saw, or for as long lasting as what we saw during the 2021 freeze.
Is it long enough that it could lead to some burst pipes certain places?
It absolutely is. So I think that's going to be the main sticking point. I think in a week's time, this is what people will probably be remembering about the winter storm that kind of was but wasn't really. I think it will be the fact that if you're not taking those basic freeze precautions, you will likely be dealing with some pretty expensive fixes in the near future. Temperatures are going to drop below 25 degrees in most areas of Southeast Texas. So I think if we're taking some very basic preventative measures like wrapping the pipes, the plumbing, whatever it takes, to kind of prevent a freeze or burst pipes, that's really going to be key here over the next couple of days, really through the weekend into early next week.
And it's always a good reminder that if you have any pipes, this is typically the case with sinks and the kitchen, that sort of thing, where they're potentially exposed to the outside wall, open up those cabinet doors just to let the heat from inside through a little bit. That can make a big difference.
Exactly.
During Beryl, we did see widespread and extended outages here in the Houston area. We did not see that during last January snowstorm. What is the potential here in terms of, based off of just, meteorologically speaking, what you expect to see happen over the next few days, that it could lead in one fashion or another to outages around town?
I think what we'll be watching for over the course of this weekend is what's going on upstream, north and west of us in Houston. I think here in Houston, the chance of power outages or significant damage is quite low. I think really in terms of ice totals, we're looking at less than a quarter of an inch, and in many areas of Houston, less than, a tenth of an inch of ice, and that would be ideal. Once you start getting above a quarter of an inch, that's when ice really does weigh down those power lines, and really that looks most likely to happen well north of Houston. So we're talking Huntsville, College Station, Livingston, points north towards the Piney Woods. I think that's where, if we do see power outages, and it's not really an if, I think it's a will, when we see power outages, they will be mainly found to the north of us in Houston. At least how things look now.
Yeah, yeah. What might still change in the next couple of days that could lead to a change in the forecast itself and what we really expect?
So what's interesting is the hurricane hunters actually, I found out this morning, went into the system that's going to bring us this kind of wintry mess over Texas, this wintry mess over the next couple of days. And they were feeding some of that information into our American GFS model. So I really think over the next day or two, we really will fine tune those details and get the exact specifics nailed down. I think in Southeast Texas, the forecast has been very, very consistent. It has from the very beginning not been a snowstorm forecast. It has been more of an ice sort of sleet, freezing rain sort of situation. Here in North Carolina, where I am, it's changed from a snowstorm to an ice storm. So I think those nuanced sort of things will be detailed, will be kind of hammered out over the next day or so before the first drops fall Friday evening into Saturday.
Justin Ballard is a meteorologist with the Houston Chronicle. Justin, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.